Hello everyone! This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello ladies, gentlemen, and everyone watching. Welcome one and all to this newest edition of the Running on Empty Food Review series. I'm your host, The Report of the Week. Thank you for checking in. I would wager, and granted I'm sure just given how these reviews usually are, I'll find a way to drag this out to probably 20 minutes or so. But, ignoring that, this should be what I would consider to be, anyway, a very straightforward and a very direct review. The chicken sandwich craze continues. It's one of those things that for a while I thought was just going to be a sort of trend, not that chicken sandwiches were ever not going to be a popular item, because of course they are. But I just thought that all of the hype surrounding the chicken sandwiches was eventually going to die down, but evidently it hasn't. And Popeyes has made an adjustment to their chicken sandwich, one of probably the most well-known chicken sandwiches in the world of fast food. I would actually be willing to submit, as I'm sure many of you feel the same way, that it was the Popeyes chicken sandwich that was really what kicked off the whole chicken sandwich craze in the first place. Popeyes, they went ahead and they did it. People have long contemplated the what-ifs. What if we could make this change or that change, or what if we could do this to the chicken sandwich to take it up to the next level? So many ideas, but the question was the implementation. You could think something, but then you have to ask yourself the question, how can it be done? And that is what makes true innovators. That's what makes these brilliant pioneers, the people who have that question, but have the answer as to how to execute it. A lot of people have thought, imagine if we could have the chicken sandwich, but add cheese and bacon to it. It sounds easy, but how do we do it? Well, Popeyes figured it out. And as a result, they have just released the bacon and cheese chicken sandwich. So that's right. It has their fried chicken fillet, the same chicken that we all know and love from Popeyes. It's on a brioche bun. It has pickles, mayo, and here's the crazy part. So are you ready? Because this is going to hit you hard. And if you can't take it, well, we're just going in anyway. It comes with Havarti cheese and bacon. Well, if you're still alive right now, then you've made it. Because that news was powerful, I know. Believe me, I know. Yeah, they took the chicken sandwich, and they put bacon and cheese on it, and now we have ourselves a new item. I know I could be... Some of these things, I can't help but be a little bit sarcastic with it, but it's like, all right, it's a chicken sandwich, and you threw on some bacon and some cheese, and there you have it. I'm actually surprised that this hasn't been done earlier, because obviously, at the very least, the bacon addition to chicken sandwiches always seems like a very popular and well-received choice, and cheese as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this is. It's available at the price of $7 just for the sandwich itself, which some people are saying, well, that is a bit expensive, but then, it'll be argued. They'll say, well, it's due to inflation, it's because the bacon can cost a little bit more, it's a new item, you might be getting a good amount of chicken, etc., etc. But anyway, the only other thing worth mentioning, I found the introduction of the Havarti cheese. That was an interesting choice. So we'll see how well that works as far as its addition, I should say, to this chicken sandwich. So, comes in the chicken sandwich pouch right there. Love that chicken sandwich. And you see right there, it says, there's a rock on the top. It says the. Then in the center is a mitochondrion with the word chicken imprinted on it. And then there's another rock there that says sandwich. The chicken sandwich from Popeyes. And now, open it up. And let's see how it looks. Very greasy. I could tell that immediately because one look at my hands, well, I don't know how well you could actually see it, but it's a greasy wrapping anyway. All right, what do we see? Let's see. There's the pickle. Oh, there's the bacon. Okay, there's a bacon strip. Where's the cheese? I'm not really seeing the cheese. Let's take it out. I think we'll be able to get a better look at it. Oh, okay, there's the cheese. It was on the other side. Okay. So that's the mayo on the bottom, and that's the cheese on the top. There's the bacon. And there's the pickle, the chicken fillet. I'd say it looks pretty much as advertised. What I saw in the ad, it actually does mirror this, where the chicken, or actually the cheese slice, did seem as though it were more or less just placed atop the chicken fillet and not really melted on or anything, but just kind of laid down there, which is how this is. And again, there's the bacon. Wouldn't necessarily say it's the most glamorous looking sandwich in the world, but then again, as far as many items go, you really can't judge a book by its cover. Some items wind up looking very aesthetically pleasing and then they taste absolutely horrible. Other items can look a little sloppy, a little messy, but they're truly delicious. So what I think I'm going to do, just when I see these sorts of bigger, more complete sandwiches, I just like to cut it in half. Then you can get an adequate cross-section, and I feel I can get a more accurate flavor profile of it. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pause the camera real quick, cut this in half, then you'll see a cross-section, and then I'll try it out. So there you have it. All right, stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay, got it cut in half. The cross-section actually is a bit interesting. Look at that. It's as though, all right, you can see the pickle there. You can see the chicken fillet, some of the cheese, some of the mayo, the bacon. But interestingly, it's just kind of I guess it's like a little bit of a illusion, where you see when you're looking at it this way, you think, oh, this is a really big chicken fillet, right? You see this whole piece right here. But it turns out that's just essentially just a fried appendage, and the chicken fillet is actually a bit disproportionate, as you could see. But anyway, that's what it looks like, so now you know. And now let's just try it out real quick, give an assessment, and that'll be that. All right, the Popeyes bacon and cheese chicken sandwich going in. You know, nothing tastes bad, but I'm just a little disappointed in what I see. I'll just show you. I think it speaks for itself. So, you noticed, as I showed you the cross-section, right, you could see that one part of it where there was that big, that nice, thick, looked like seemingly juicy cut of chicken. But, then when you look at this, it seemed like even that was almost an illusion of sorts. Because look, most of that right there is just breading. That's just glorified breading. Maybe that tiny little thin strip in the center is actual chicken. Everything else, this is all just breading. I mean, there's very little meat in there, and that's just disappointing. Like I said, everything right now tastes fine. It tastes, there's no problem with it at all. But, I just don't like seeing this sort of stuff. I like it when it resembles the advertisement, and I just don't, like I said, I just don't like seeing this. That's all. I'll take another bite, we'll see if it changes any. I don't like it when because I know people might interpret it a certain way, and I just don't like that. I don't want to be known as the reviewer that hates everything, because I most certainly don't. I don't like it when people see review after review after review, where it's just one criticism after the next after the next. I try to be fair when I analyze any item, really. I try to give credit where credit is due, but at the same time, I try to, give a fair assessment. If there's something good about the item, I will happily point it out. And if there's something bad about it, I want to outline that as well, because again, this is $7 for this. This would be your money going into this product, your time, and you gotta know if it's worth it. So I don't like it, because sometimes I feel like, people will say, oh, you don't have anything good to ever say about the items, you just hate everything, when I know that's not true. But you know what? People can just say what they want, because I just want to give an honest assessment. And like I said, if there's good news, there's good news. If there's bad news, there's bad news. In this case, quality-wise, as far as taste is concerned, there's nothing really bad about this. In that, I think that the combination of flavors, granted, has always been good in terms of the original ingredients, wherein the chicken is of generally high quality, it's flavorful, it's juicy, nice crisp to it. That blends in, of course, very well texturally. The pickles, fresh, crisp, nice little tang to them. They complement it quite nicely. The mayo as well mostly provides some moisture, but it certainly doesn't detract any. All of the ingredients are still there. The bacon, likewise, I would have preferred the bacon to be a bit more on the crisp side. That's just my preference. But it's still very flavorful. Most definitely can be discerned through it all. It adds a little bit of a saltiness to it. The Havarti cheese is also a pleasant addition, where you could really just taste that little bit of, for lack of a better word, that sort of butteriness to it. And it just complements it very nicely. So both of those are pretty welcome additions. So in terms of all the ingredients, the composition of this sandwich. Now this is the important caveat, this is probably the most important part of the review. If you get your sandwich and it is prepared as is demonstrated in the advertisements, I think you will be in for an enjoyable meal. Here's what I mean by that. The problem that I had just outlined, as far as looking at the sandwich, in the cross-section you saw the chicken fillet and the initial appearance as far as the ratio of the meat to the toppings is concerned. If that ratio on your end is maintained, and there's a good amount of the meat on the sandwich, it's going to be good. And I would be willing to say that generally speaking, everything balances each other out nicely, everything complements each other, and it's going to be a good, enjoyable, flavorful sandwich, slightly overpriced. Out of 10, I would be willing to say that quality-wise, provided everything is balanced, it would definitely be an 8 out of 10 sandwich. Here's the problem. What did I get? I didn't get that. I got mostly breading, a little bit of meat, based on the bites that I was able to take that actually had a significant amount of meat. That's what I base the assessment off of, and I know it's going to be a good quality sandwich if the whole thing were that way. But when I bite in, and I realize most of this is breading. Most of this is breading. There's very little meat. That's where the problems come in. But the problem that I'm noticing, for the most part, is number one, there's not a lot of meat on this, so I feel like I was kind of given the short end of the stick here, because generally Popeyes is kind of known for its decent-sized chicken fillet, and most of this stuff is just breading, and that's it, to give it the illusion that it looks bigger than it really is. And then the other problem, when there's so much breading, when it's so disproportionate, this is when the balance gets thrown off. And then I'm biting in, and for many of the bites, I started tasting this overwhelming saltiness. Because mind you, there's going to be a lot of sodium in just the breading itself. So now when there's even more and more and more of it, that's only going to increase. The bacon is salty, and the Havarti cheese has that butteriness to it as well, then mixed in with the mayo, and the pickles are a little bit lacking, then the balance gets thrown off. And while those first few bites that I took were quite nice, the latter bites, when that balance was totally messed up, started getting iffy. And I wasn't really tasting the chicken anymore, it was just a breading and salt sandwich. And that's disappointing. And when it's like that, it's no longer enjoyable. It's no longer something that I think, yeah, I want to take another bite of this, because it's like, it's overwhelmingly salty. And you know the way it goes. You have something, there's just too much salt on it. It's like, I don't want to eat this. The best thing about the chicken sandwich from Popeyes is how they were able to balance out all of the ingredients. They had everything just right. They had everything in the right quantities. It was the perfect balance. And if you get this and there's more meat on it, that balance will be maintained. That's why I don't think it would necessarily be fair to give a formal assessment based on the chicken fillet that I got, because that would be assuming that yours would be the same way. If it's the way that they say it's going to be, it's going to be a good sandwich. But you have to be aware of this, so I'll give you a warning. It's a good sandwich if the portion is just right, if there's that perfect amount of chicken on it. If you wind up getting what I got, it takes a good thing And when that balance isn't right, it drives it right into the ground. And that's disappointing, and it takes a good thing and immediately ruins it. It's all about the moderation. So, it's disappointing. You know, that's the thing when there's so much breading and so little meat. And then it's like even here, you know, look at this. This is the other half now, because I know some people might wonder. It's very similar. It's like, all right, when you're looking there, it looks like this big sort of chicken, and then right here changes. All right, I'm about out of time. The one that I got as a result, I would be giving a 4 out of 10, but provided you have more meat on yours, it'll be much better, an 8 out of 10. Just be aware of that. Make sure that that chicken fillet is just right, because otherwise you're going to be quite disappointed. Hope you're able to get something out of this review. That's all that I have for you. I'm your host, The Report of the Week.